Hey guys, it's Brindley. Happy Monday. I'm so happy you guys are here. Hope you had a great weekend. I know that I did. I did a post this weekend that I am actually living my life by design. So I am spending my summers in Washington State and my winters in Florida. So about 2 years ago, I said, you know what? It's time. It's time for me to start practicing what I preach and to start living my life by design. And so I had a great weekend. I went out on the boat and went out to the islands, San Juan Islands, and it was just gorgeous. But enough about that. What I want to talk about tonight, and I thought a lot about this topic because I get asked all the time, and I'm kind of on this new journey into something that I never thought in a million years that I would ever do. And a lot of you know me, and you've known me for a long time, and you know that I've never been a runner, and I've never said that I was going to run. And I've mentioned this on a few of our videos together that if you see me running, you should probably run because something's chasing me or I'm chasing it. And I'm on this whole new journey of actually running, and I'm actually doing it consistently every day. And so I get asked a lot, you know, Bryn, how did you go from such a seemingly dark place and quit drinking? How did you quit smoking? How did you get yourself to a point where you were able to build a business? And then how were you able to get to the point where you created this life by design, and then you're able to get to a point to do something that you said you would never do, which is running? And really, you know, it all starts with willingness. It all starts with being willing. And the truth is, guys, like, I'm just going to be honest, like, there's times that I'm not willing. Like, there were times that I didn't want to get out of bed. There were times that it would have been just easier to pick up a drink, or it would have just been easier to smoke that next cigarette, or times now that it would just be easier to skip the run. Like last night, we, you know, got back and had an awesome weekend, and we wanted to go out to dinner because Bellingham just opened up, and I could have just said, you know what, I'm going to go eat. But instead I said, you know what, if I want to eat, I need to go for a run. And I went for the 20-minute run. And so what I had to learn was sometimes it was okay for me to say, I just need to pray for the willingness to be willing. If I'm not quite yet ready to go into the action or to take the steps that are required to become willing, I just need to ask for the willingness to be willing. And when I started doing the research for tonight's video, I looked up the definition of willingness and the definition of willing. And this is really fascinating. The definition of willingness is the quality of being willing. The quality of being willing. The definition of willing is to have willingness. So if we say the willingness to be willing, what we're really saying is the quality of being willing to have willingness. So you could run some circles around that to say that what we're really trying to do here is sometimes we don't already have the quality of being willing, so we've got to find the quality. You know, willingness is not being defined as something that is, it has to be compliant. You have to be willing to do it. It has to be something out of choice. It can't be because someone made you do it. It can't be, you know, yes, I was in a massive accident that started the journey of me to my new life and to not drinking. Yet at some point I had to wake up and say, I'm willing to change the way that I'm living my life. I'm willing to make different decisions. So even though something major and catastrophic happened, I had to have the willingness. I had to be ready to say, I want to do this. It's not, you know, willingness isn't doing something that you gleefully and exciting, and I want to accept this and I want to do this. Willingness is about accepting the things that you don't want to do, accepting the things that don't come easy, yet you know that they're going to bring about massive positive change. So I wrote down some reasons that people are not usually willing. And I want you to think to yourself and ask yourself as I go through these, what am I possibly not willing to do? And is this stunting my growth? Is it preventing me from having my life by design? Is it preventing me from losing the weight that I want to, or achieving the health goals that I want to? Is it preventing me from growing the business that I want to have that will fund my perfect life? So ask yourself, are any of these things blocking me from the ability to become willing? Number one, it's because you feel coerced in some way. You're feeling forced. Somebody's wanting you to do it and you're not ready. And so it's almost making you defiant. It's also making you like, I'm not going to do this because you want me to do it. So ask yourself, are you being coerced into this thing? And if you are, what if we removed the coercion and we removed the individual that was coercing you? Then what would it look like? If we fully removed it, what would it look like? Number two, we have thoughts, I can never pronounce this word, ambivalence, whatever, you know what I mean. This is the meaning of it. This means that we have feelings, thoughts, and attitudes that are contradictory to what we actually want. So let me give you an example. I want to lose weight, but I really love ice cream. Ice cream is my favorite food. It's actually in my life. It is a food group, and I love ice cream. And I was not ready to give up ice cream. Therefore, I was not willing to really lose the weight that I wanted to lose and go on the health journey that I wanted. So what I had to do is I had to get my feelings around ice cream and my thoughts around feelings around my feelings and my thoughts around ice cream in alignment with where my health goals were. And until I was able to say, what would my life look like without ice cream? And guys, this sounds silly, and I'm using this as an example because this is sometimes how easy and simple it is. And it almost sounds silly, yet this is the reality of it. I loved ice cream. And when I was around ice cream, I live in Florida, it's 90 degrees. I wanted ice cream. And until I was ready to say, I don't want ice cream anymore, and I'm okay not having ice cream because losing this weight and being on this health journey is more important to me, I wasn't able to be willing. And when I was able to give up and release what I felt around ice cream, then I was able to accept and be willing to do what I needed to do to lose the weight. Number three, we have unrealistic high expectations and we become disappointed when things do not happen as expected. This is a big one. And this is what I have found in everything. Right? We will make these big, wild, audacious goals. And we will say, I'm going to run a 5K in 2 weeks, but I haven't run 30 seconds in 10 years. I am going to lose 40 pounds this year, but I haven't lost more than 10 pounds in my entire life. I am going to, when I quit drinking, I'm going to quit drinking. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to change the world. I'm going to do all of these things. And it was like, no, just for today, do one thing. Just for today, don't eat ice cream. Just for today, go run a minute because you've never run more than 30 seconds. Yeah, what happens is that we set these unrealistic goals for ourselves and then we never hit them. And then we constantly feel like we're failing and we just give up, right? It's the weight loss is a great thing to look at with this. Most people will go 4 weeks into a weight journey and they don't see anything. They don't see the changes. And so they stop because they don't think it's working. When if they would have just stuck with it about 2 to 4 more weeks, they would have started to see the difference that would have then motivated them to keep them going forward. Number 4, we are faced with a problem that we really don't want to deal with. I find this one a lot with people and money, right? Money is a very sensitive thing. We tend to stick our head in the sand around money. We just ignore it. If we ignore it, it will go away. Some people, I find this with health problems. If I go and see the doctor, then I know what's wrong. And if I don't go, then I don't know what's wrong. So really, we're not wanting to deal with it. And here I just ask myself, what are the consequences of not dealing with it? If you were to wait 6 months, a year, what is your world going to look like if you don't deal with the problem? Number 5, this is a good one. We start off with a great deal of determination. Siri's talking to me. We start off with a great deal of determination, but then we run out of steam and we have no plan to keep us motivated. How many of us have walked into a gym on January 2nd at the beginning of the year and it's packed? It's packed. It's everybody is on their health journey. It's New Year's. I'm going to nail it. And then March 1st, there's no one in the gym. This is the exact example of this. We start with a great deal of determination, but then we run out of steam because at some point it gets boring. Either we don't see the results that we want or it gets boring. Here's the thing, that's always going to happen. We know history shows us, data shows us that it's always going to get boring. There's always going to get to a point where we're going to lose motivation. What's most important is what have we put in place that when that happens, we maintain motivation. So for instance, I'm on this running journey and I'm going to talk about this in a minute about humility. Like I've had to reach out to some folks and say, I don't know what I don't know. And truly, here's why I want to run. Here's why I want to do this amount of exercise. Here's why I want to have the food. And here's what I need from you when I want to eat that ice cream. When we go out and we have dinner and they ask for dessert, if I say I want dessert, here's the permission I'm giving you to stop me from doing it, because I know at some point I'm going to either feel like I'm kicking butt and I'm doing awesome and I deserve a treat and I'm going to justify it every way in my mind, or I'm going to get bored and I'm going to be like, I'm done eating almonds and apples and chicken. I want some ice cream, right? So what's the plan that you've put in place in your world so that when that happens? So for me, I had, support groups when I quit drinking. When I decided, because I quit drinking and I didn't stop smoking until 9 months later. And the reason was because I didn't have the willingness to quit smoking when I quit drinking. And that goes back to, that's a good one for number 3, right? It would have been unrealistic for me to think that I could quit drinking, quit smoking, and change my entire lifestyle, end a relationship, all of those things at one time. So I just started with the one that was the most important. So what's the one that's the most important? And then making sure that when that lack of motivation starts to kick in, what are you going to do to remotivate yourself? Number 6 is good. We set high expectations, but we also set low expectations. Sometimes we don't believe in ourselves enough that we set expectations that are too low. And so we end up settling. We end up settling for something when we could have had so much more because we don't think we can do it. We think, oh, well, nothing else is going to come along, so I might as well just settle. Where if we would have just stuck with it and we would have had the willingness to keep going, something amazing can happen. Something amazing could happen. Yet we sell ourselves short because we set our expectations too low. Number 7, this is interesting. If you want something bad enough, you will do whatever it takes. The willing individual will be prepared to devote however long it takes to make it happen. So the question is that when you're asking yourself, what is it that I want to do? The second question is, am I willing to do it at what cost? Am I truly, I ask people this all the time. Well, I want to close 200 transactions this year. Awesome. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to close 200 real estate transactions? Yes, I am. Awesome. What does that look like? We can't just say, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. We've got to know, and we have to be willing to do every single thing that it takes to get to 200 transactions. So we have to be asking ourselves, what exactly do I have to have the willingness to do? It can't just be, I'm willing to sell 200 real estate transactions. Yeah, a lot of people are willing to do it. Yet, do you know exactly what it takes to accomplish that? And are you willing to do every single thing that is required? And then are you willing to adjust as you go forward? So I'll give you an example. I've been on this health journey. I have eliminated processed foods. So carbs, sugars. I am exercising every day. I tried intermittent fasting. It wasn't working, so I tweaked it a little bit. I'm now at, eating every couple of hours to keep my metabolism up. And I looked at my girlfriend this weekend and I said, I want to up it. I want to up the game now. Like now I'm running faster. I'm doing these things. And the final piece is portion control. But I have to have the willingness to be able to do that. I have to have the willingness to be able to say out loud, okay, I'm ready to focus on portions, and here's what I need to be able to do that. So do you really know what it's going to take? And I know smaller portions is going to mean there's going to be a whole lot of hot wings and Brussels sprouts at my house tonight, and I can only eat a certain amount of wings and Brussels sprouts. And so I have to be able to go into that meal and say, okay, I have the willingness to only eat this many hot wings, and y'all know how I love hot wings and Brussels sprouts, and a little bit of Brussels sprouts. I can't talk tonight. We're getting through this, guys. We're almost there. So thanks for sticking with me. This is the biggest one, and I think there's a reason that it's last. Willingness requires a decent amount of humility. Willing people are prepared to listen and learn from the experiences of other people. What happens is often our pride blocks our ability to be willing. You know, it was not easy for me 8 years ago to say, I screwed up big time and I need help. I screwed my life up and I need your help. You know, it's not easy sometimes for me to say, you know, I've never run. I don't know how to run. I had to learn how to breathe. I had to learn how to run. I didn't know what shoes I needed. I didn't know how to stretch. And for someone like me that's just used to going and figuring it out, I had to have a certain amount of humility to go to people that had run and had been running for a long time and ask them really what they probably think are silly questions, but to me, I didn't know, but I had the willingness to learn. I think this also applies to something that's massively going on in our world right now. You know, I think that there's been a lot that's happened, and for me, I had to have the willingness to want to learn, but more importantly, I had to be able to have the humility to raise my hand and say, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I didn't know what a lot of this meant because it was never explained this way to me. And so let me go out and learn what white privilege means. Let me go out and learn what's happening in the world so that I'm educated and I'm knowledgeable to be able to talk about it and to be able to use my voice to help our world and our community and our country in the way that is in alignment with my values. Yet I had to have the willingness to do that. And I had to have the humility, which I don't think everyone is ready to have, to say, I didn't know what I didn't know. I can't be blamed for that. But now that I know, I got to go do it. Now that I know how to run, I got to go run. Right. And so what are the things that you're not willing to do? And is it your pride that's blocking you because you might be afraid to raise your hand and say, I don't know. I probably should know. I'm 40 years old. I should probably know how to run or how to breathe, but I don't know. So really asking yourself again, what exactly do I need the willingness to do? And then asking yourself, am I ready to humble myself enough to seek the help that I need to become willing and to ask for help? So a wise man once said, you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. You can salt his food though. So I ask you, what is your salt? You can't lead a horse to water. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You can say, I want to do this and not have the willingness to do it. Yet what's your salt? What's the thing that's going to make you have the willingness to do it? And sometimes we just have to pray and ask for the willingness to be willing. Will you just give me the willingness to be willing to run tomorrow? Because that's somewhere to start. And then I can put the things in place that are my salt to help me get up and run. I can put my shoes out at night. I can ask for accountability. I can put it on my calendar. I can do all the things and take all the steps that I need to take to be able to get there. So I just ask you tonight, I hope that you'll reflect. I hope that these things will help you think really deeply on what is it that's holding you back in life, and what is it that it's the willingness or you're not willing to do that you need to learn how to become willing to do. And if you need help, reach out, call me. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week. Talk to you soon. Bye.